Hello everyone, this is Data Tips here. Today we are going to learn about the basics of SQL. So before starting with SQL, first we need to know a couple of basic terms like the data, database and RDBMS. So let's start with data. What is the data? Data is any information that you can think of, like your name, age and weight. All these are information. So that is called as data. What is a database? A database is an organized collection of structured information or the data. So once you have collected all the data, you have all the data like people's name, age, weight, right? Now you want to store it somewhere. So the place where you can store all your data is called as database. Once you have the database, what is the next use case? You want to access the data, you want to modify the data, right? So for that purpose you need the RDBMS. RDBMS is relational database management system. So it's basically a software that is used to store, query, retrieve the data from the relational database. So the key players in the relational database: MySQL, MS SQL Server, Oracle and Postgres. Now you may think of why some system is called as RDBMS. So Dr. E.F. Codd in 1970 had proposed a couple of rules. When the system follows 9 or more than 9 rules, then it is called as RDBMS. You can just Google by Dr. E.F. Codd 12 rules and you can find out all the rules. Okay, so now let's go over to SQL. So SQL and SQL both are same thing. It's just few people call it SQL, few people call it SQL. So previously when it was developed, so it was called as SQL, a structured English query language, and later on it was changed to structured query language only. Okay, so still if you may heard of like SQL, or few people are calling it SQL, so do not get confused, both are same terms. So SQL is basically the structured query language. It is used to retrieve or manipulate the data in the database. Okay, so now let's move to the practicals so that we'll have more understanding on SQL. So to get started, first we need to install pgadmin. So we are going to use this RDBMS Postgres. So to install this we need to install pgadmin. You can Google pgadmin, like I've googled it, pgadmin, and then there is a site pgadmin.org. You can download. If you have Windows, you can download it for Windows. If you have Mac OS, you can download it for Mac OS. I have Mac, so I have downloaded it for Mac. Okay. So once you have downloaded it and you have logged into this pgadmin, you can just click here and you can see there are databases. So what you can do is first, so once you have the RDBMS, now you need to create a database, right, where you can store the information. So first what I'll do, I'll just right click on this databases and create a new database called test3. Save it. Okay, your database has been created. You can see test3, right? It has been created. So now once you have the database, what you have to do, you need to create the table, right? So in the database you store all the information in tables, and table will be in row and column format. So here in this database, test database, so here you can see I have 4 database: test, test2, test3 and Postgres. Okay, so in test database I have already created couple of tables. So you can click test, you can go under schema, then go under public and then tables. Right, you can see I have couple of tables, like 6 tables. So we are going to query this detailed tables. Okay, okay, so to query any table, what you can do is you can just right click and just select the query tools. So if you will select, you will get this window where you can write your query. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just type to access the data from the table. Right, you are just reading the data. So to read any data, you need to use select command, SELECT, select command. Right, to read the data from tables, you need to use the select command. And now what you are going to read, I need to read all the columns. Okay, so here star means all the columns. So if you see, expand this table and you can see the columns. You have 3 columns: ID, name and age, and you want to see data of all the columns, you can simply put this star here, and then you need to write from, like from which table you are going to access the data. I'm going to access details tables data. Here's the details table, so I put it details table. Okay, and then end the statement by semicolon. So you can skip the semicolon and you can run it, it will still run, but the best practice is always close it with the semicolon. Okay, so this is very simple. You just need to know the strict format, like this is the syntax, you need to know the syntax, and that's it to read the data. So you need to use select command to read the data from the table. Then you need to write a star if you are going to read all the columns, and then from table name. That's it. And then here is the button which says execute or refresh F5. Either you can press F5 on your screen, or you can click on this button and it will execute this statement. So if I click, the statement has been executed and I can see this data. So sometimes what happens, you have a requirement where you want to read just the name, right? So what will you do? So in that case, we can only write one column, name, and I'll get only names, right? Sometimes you have the requirement like you want to know the name and their age as well, so you can write like this, separated by comma, and then you can write age. So that's how, in a simple way, you can query any table. To create any table, we'll learn that in next video. Thank you so much for watching.